Hello, friends. Welcome to User Friendly, the podcast where we talk about our favorite stuff on the web, things that are technology related, and all things Greek.
Not this time.
But not this time. I'm your co-host, Irfan Elijah. You might know me from the Cultcast podcast. And if you watched our last episode, yes, I'm wearing the same shirt.
Because this is intentional. Otherwise, we would have changed shirts.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm Roberto Hoyos, and I am the co-host of this show. We decided that we would do a special kickback intimate show where we would talk about, we're doing a Q&A. The first UF Q&A.
UFQA.
And because Irfan missed the show, so I'm trying to add some more content.
Good call.
But yeah, so we had you guys send in questions on Twitter and Facebook. So now we're going to start just rattling them off in a very casual way. So why don't we start with Twitter? So I thought this was a good one.
Okay.
This comes from my friend, actually, Romina, at Red Romina. And she asks us, what made you guys start filming user-friendly together and make it a weekly thing? You want to take this one?
Sure. So, we had been talking about doing a podcast together for a long time.
Yes.
And we had both been doing other podcasts together, but as guests together on someone else's podcast.
Yes.
And so...
And at one time I had my own podcast, and one time you had your own podcast.
Exactly.
Before we met, we actually had our own podcast.
Yes, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
And so...
and it was always kind of coming together. Like, I was on your podcast, you were on mine.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And we were still just friends, but we weren't really, like, we didn't hang out very much. Like.
Right. Yeah. And so we were kind of like, we wanted to do it, and we knew that we wanted to do it. And then finally, actually, Roberto kept... just like saying, we need to do this, we need to do this, we need to do this. And then finally, I think you just set a date.
Yeah.
I think that's what just happened. It's like, you're like, let's just do it on this date.
Yeah. I was like, I'll be at your house next Wednesday and we'll do something. We didn't know what we were going to do, though.
And the key for me was also like, I was doing the Cultcast, or I was about to start the Cultcast at that time.
Yeah, it didn't launch.
But before we started the Cultcast, we were doing shows every week for weeks before we led up to that first episode. Because I was like, we have got to practice, right?
That's interesting, yeah.
So...
we didn't do that.
No, we didn't do that at all. But it's like this show, it's like,
yeah.
I was like, yeah, we did the show. And so the big thing was that Roberto was going to edit the show, because that was my big holdup. I was like, I cannot edit 2 shows a week.
Yeah.
The Cultcast is the one I'm editing, so Roberto was like, I'll do it. And I already had all the video equipment from the video podcast that we had been doing before.
Right.
So I think, honestly, once you start doing it, it's just, once you make it past the first maybe like 8 weeks, it just kind of... It's not hard to keep it going because you just get into the habit of doing it.
Yeah, I think a lot of things too are just I'm a very kind of schedule oriented guy. Like if we're talking about something, we're like, oh, it's a great idea, blah blah blah. I'm the guy that goes, well then let's do it on Tuesday the 17th. You know?
I try to do that now too.
Rather than just like, great, I'll call you. You know?
Because that never happens. Yeah.
So like that's why I was like, I'll be at your house. I'll be at your house on Wednesday and we'll do something. You know?
Yeah,
because
right.
at the very end of it, or at the very least, we'll have something, right, that we can keep like trying to do, because we had already knew the format was going to be just like, let's talk about some text.
Well, see,
right?
now we shouldn't just. Yeah, you're right. Exactly. We knew we were just going to sit here and talk about stuff, but I don't want to say that is something that should be taken for granted, because if there's anything that I've learned doing podcasting, it's like that. Having someone on who's conversational is not something that everyone can do.
Yeah.
I've learned that.
Really?
Yeah.
From
Some people
where?
just don't like to talk. And also the chemistry between personalities is key. And Roberto and I have always had, like, before we're doing this show, we're like, we should do a podcast, because our conversations are this entertaining when we're not recording.
Yeah.
So like, what if we recorded it? You know, like, because we enjoyed it, and I
Yeah.
think that was the key. Is like, you have to enjoy it, and then if you have something there that you're really enjoying, I think other people will enjoy it too. It will enjoy it as well, because podcasts, at least the ones that I love, are either very informational in nature, but they're usually personality driven. You have to like the people that you're watching.
Yeah, and it was part of it, not to say we're anything like wear anything as good as these guys, but I loved Dignation.
Oh, we're better.
You know,
Clink.
but
Chug.
I was like, I felt like a lot of our viewers tell me that I was hanging out with those guys, you know, and that was a cool thing where it's just like, oh, we're hanging out, we talk about tech, that's how our friends talk when we're in the same room, you know.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of like what we wanted to create at the very least, was like that sort of atmosphere, you know.
Yeah.
But also, another part of it was I wanted to have some sort of weekly video content, even though it wasn't going to be under Throwboy. I was like, I still want to have something. And now it's changed because now I do lots of video on my channel. But this kind of got me started. Was like, I wasn't going to do very much video before that. I only did it when I felt like it. But this was like a commitment. I was like, okay, every week I'm going to do it. And I like those sorts of commitments where I'm like, okay, every week I will do X, you know.
I do too. Yeah. I mean, and then you just show up no matter what.
Right.
And you do it.
And
yeah.
we only missed one, but now we're making up for it.
That's right. It's like it never happened. I'm going to go puke.
Let's go to the next question.
Okay.
Okay. So, what do you think the next big release from Apple will be? Yeah.
This one comes from CJ Gonzalez.
Yeah. What do you think the next big Apple release will be?
Man.
Basically, that's what he said. I paraphrased.
I can't say that I think there's anything concrete. I can say that I've heard murmurings that Apple has been working on a Mac Pad, and it's gonna be a hybrid Mac that uses the iPad operating system, and it's gonna have a keyboard.
Really?
This could be totally fictional.
Where'd you hear about that?
I think there's an analyst, and there was a couple other people on the web that I read. Ming Chi Kuo that was talking about it, and it could be one of those things that's just totally fake. I think the next big thing from Apple, the next big thing I think is going to be the iTelevision. I really do think. Actually, I take that back. It's going to be the iWatch. That's going to be first. I think they're picking up pace, working on this thing. They're bringing in team members. It's pretty obvious they're working on it.
The iMwatch.
The iMwatch. It'll never be as cool as the iMwatch.
But they could try.
They might as well give it the old Apple shot. I think that will be the next big thing. As far as big though, that's a thing. It's like I don't know how many people are actually going to buy that. I mean, I think it could be more along the lines of. Do you remember when Apple released their own Bluetooth headset?
Oh my God, I do. Yeah.
Gone, right? Gone from the annals of history. Only as where it exists
that's a
now.
Good memory there,
right?
Man.
And it's like it was cool. And
it was kind of cool. It was like teeny, right?
I think it was actually kind of large.
Wait, yeah, I'm thinking, wrong thing. It was like, it looked like the iPod Shuffle, that little stick of gum shuffle.
It did kind of, yeah. And that thing's totally gone now. So it's hard to say if it will be successful or not. I do think we're going to see an iTelevision. It's just a matter of when. So
you think that the watch will be so... It could be so like whatever that it's just some product that they kind of comes and then it goes.
I do, because a lot of people just don't want to wear anything on their wrists and they don't care about tracking their fitness. And I think that's going to be the angle. It's going to be a fitness oriented device.
So we have yet to see under Tim Cook's watch. We have yet to see any failure dud products that they have to just like sweep under the rug, because Apple's pretty good about that. Like they've had some duds, like not just everybody thinks of Ping, but I mean, what about the iPod Hi-Fi? That was a total stinker.
Holy moly, yeah, I forgot about that too.
Yeah, and that's just like some stupid little hardware. It was a speaker, and I mean,
it was essentially like an iPod dock.
Yeah, it was like one of those Bose docks, right? Except it was honk and it was huge. I remember because I worked at the store at the time, and you know, that's one of those things that they had a full-on keynote for. They're like, oh, Steve Jobs is going to talk about this, and I got rid of all my stereo equipment to use these in my house and stuff, right? So, like, do you think that they're going to do some sort of, they're going to have this, they have to have a big keynote for the watch, right?
I think they will, yeah.
But do you think that they could just kind of get rid of it if it's not such a great seller?
Yeah, like, they're obviously putting a lot of effort into it, and they're bringing on a lot of people to contribute their expertise to bring it or to build it. But
they don't have to support it forever, is what I'm saying.
Like, no, I don't think it's going to be a core product.
Okay.
Like, I don't think it's going to be even as popular as
the iWatch.
the iWatch for sure. That thing's taken over.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Keep going.
That thing's
I keep
incredible.
having to talk about the iWatch. I don't know.
Yeah, well, you can read your text messages on it. Finally, a great way to read text messages. How were we doing it before?
I'm gonna slide this in my sleeve.
Yeah, hold on. I have an email. Let me I just scrolled through like 30 emails because the scroll. Yeah, there you go. I'm just gonna tape this thing to my wrist and walk around the city with it.
I look like Leela from Futurama.
Do you have any thoughts? Maybe any guesses?
No, I think that your guess is as good as mine. I mean, like,
Okay.
I follow just kind of lightly with Apple rumors, probably because I used to work at Apple, and the kind of official thing was it doesn't exist until it's on the website, So I kind of just like go with the flow, and I like to see what happens, but I don't really speculate, unless I'm maybe like getting into like a deep conversation of like, why would we ever want this, or what is cool about this, or whatever, But no, I don't know. I don't really have a good answer for that question.
Okay, let's do this one next. This is a good question from David Vences. How was it recording the first user friendly? Did you feel awkward or nervous?
Go watch it.
We just sit there looking at the ground the whole time. We don't look at each other.
We're really far away.
Are we?
Yeah.
And now I just sit here and
Now
play
we're
with your
like-
hair. Just like,
We've inched and inched and inched.
yeah.
the
That's
episode
true.
100 will just be like,
You're gonna be on my lap.
Yeah.
Literally on my lap, and I'm gonna be peeking over your shoulder.
in bed, by the way.
Yeah, with our shirts off.
Yeah. No, I think because we knew each other, like, if you want to see the first user friendly, you can watch Erfon's podcast.
Yeah.
Because literally, we met because Erfon's company at the time had a Facebook ad, and I wanted to know more about the shirts that they were selling. So I found them on Twitter, found out that it was this guy in Seattle, and then we started tweeting each other, and then eventually it was like, oh, you did this podcast, and then he asked me if I wanted to be on one.
Right.
And that was the first time we met. So the first time we met, we did a show. We did like a user friendly.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And,
So-
and that's on Vimeo, right?
Yeah, it's still out. Yeah, it's on our Facebook, but I will put it in the notes of this video on YouTube. But yeah, so we met that way, and I don't know, man. We just had like a good chemistry since the beginning, So it wasn't really hard to do the user friendly. It was just kind of like a new place to sit, because like we've been doing this kind of conversation since we met.
That's true.
I
I wouldn't say that we felt nervous. It wasn't awkward. I would say probably. I honestly don't really recall, but I just know that whenever you do a new show, you just don't really know what the flow is gonna be.
Right.
And that's always the toughest part. I mean, like,
You're not loosened up.
you're not loosened up, and you just don't really know. The show doesn't have an identity yet, and this probably happens on teams. It happens in television shows. Like, people have to just kind of find their...
bands, anything. Yeah.
They have to find their spots, and I think that after a while, you just kind of find those things, and those are the parts I think that people start to fall in love with most about a show, or they hate, like the cult cast. Hello, like that took...
Right, that just kind of happens.
It just kind of happens,
Yeah.
and you find these things that you like, and for whatever reason, they sit well with you, and then you just keep doing them.
Yeah, like Hello Friends. You just said that on the first.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, we were because
Yeah.
literally like the start of that first show was me going like, okay, 3, 2, 1, and then you go, hello friends, and then
There you go.
we just used that since the beginning.
I
Yeah.
didn't even know that. Yeah, I was like, I thought maybe you made it up. I
No, it
have
was
no
like
idea.
that was uncut. Like that's how
Was
it
it
started.
really? Yeah. Funny enough, I feel like that the stuff that happens organically like that is the stuff that, for whatever reason, sticks with me the most. And I feel like if it sticks with me,
Yeah.
because that stuff doesn't normally stick with me, then it must be something to hang on to
Right.
because I was able to like remember it.
Yeah, right.
Maybe-
And it worked because, well, 20 minutes before the show, we decided we were going to call it user friendly. Because
Was it
remember,
20 minutes? Yeah.
we didn't have a name for it. We
We did a poll.
Yeah, we were going to call it either still in beta or user friendly.
Still in beta.
We were pacing around this living room, and I was like, it should be something easy. Like, it should be something
Yeah.
that people have heard before, like user friendly. And then you're like, ooh, I kind of like that.
And then we did that poll, and people liked it, and we're like, all right, there
Yeah.
you go, answer.
Yeah.
show is named.
Okay, next one.
Okay, this is David. Oh, David's got all sorts of questions. What do you guys usually do right before and after each user-friendly episode?
Shots.
Yeah, shots. I mean, honestly, what you see us do is what we normally do. We normally show up, we go over what we want to talk about. We kind of go, yeah, no.
We've collected stories throughout the week, basically.
Exactly.
Like anytime something catches my eye or somebody links me to something, I'll throw it in my Evernote. And so
Me too.
basically every single week I sit down and I'm like, you got anything? I think I got some stuff. And that's kind of like...
And the thing is, like, we can vamp about pretty much any topic.
Yeah.
And we always think that we're going to be short, but we always end up talking like 10 minutes about every single topic.
Yeah.
So it's
Most
actually...
of the time, those are the fun ones when it's like, I've been thinking about this, but it's not even a tech topic. It's just some nebulous, like, sort of about tech. And then we end up doing a whole, like, 30 minutes about it or whatever.
I think that's the best stuff, too. And honestly, I've even thought about kind of paring back how many stories we do for Cultcast just to kind of give us that room to breathe.
Yeah.
You know, because that way you can just kind of go off in any direction and you don't have to be like, oh, crap, like, this is going to take way too long to talk about.
Yeah.
We should stop this, you know, and move on.
And it's not just like opinion and like opinions of opinions on one topic.
Yeah,
you
one
know?
after another, right.
Yeah.
Okay, another one from David. Last one from David. Do you guys think you'll ever do a video Cultcast podcast? Yes. In fact, for those of you out there that are fans of the Cultcast, it was actually supposed to start as a video podcast.
Yeah, that's right.
That's how originally we had planned it, and a bunch of stuff went down like probably 2 weeks before we were supposed to launch the first episode.
Do you know what that's from? This is why we're do a show together, because I say
Catch.
we know each other's movie quotes.
And so we ended up doing audio because the video thing at the last minute made it just wasn't going to be possible. So we did audio, and that ended up working out well. I would love to do video. I honestly think that I'm better in video than I am in audio because, I don't know, I'm just very expressive when I talk to people, and I appreciate being able to see other people's faces when I talk. Like, I kind of feed off that energy. So I would much rather do video than do audio, but for when we would do it, I have no idea.
But you want to.
I do want to.
Okay.
Let's see here. I got some Uncle Buck comments because that was on HBO and I commented on it.
I have some from Facebook.
Nice. Okay.
Okay. Graham Critcher, our friend.
Hey! Graham Critcher.
If you could go back to when you were growing up, what console and one... Wait, you read this. I suck at reading out loud.
Sorry, I'm looking for it. Okay. If you could go back to when you were growing up, what console and one game would you want to plug into your TV right now and play?
See, it's kind of a weirdly worded sentence.
It is, yeah, for sure. Graham, get your English together, mate.
Well, let's see. We go back in time, is that what you said? Oh,
Gotta go back in time. You
take this one.
Well... Oh, man, I'll tell you. Okay, I got it. I had an original Nintendo, right? And then I moved on to the Nintendo 64. And one of my favorite games on Nintendo, I think, was called Dragon something. And it was an RPG. And I remember when we first played it, we stayed up all night. Dragon Warrior, maybe? And so on Super Nintendo, I had discovered that I liked RPGs.
Mm-hmm. You mean 64?
No, on Super Nintendo. It was a Super Nintendo game.
I thought you said 64.
Oh no, I'm sorry. The name of the game on Nintendo was Dragon Warrior, I think.
Okay.
And then that was the first RPG I'd ever played. And then when Final Fantasy III came out for Super Nintendo, one of my favorite games of all time. I loved that game, and I spent a ton of time playing it because it took like 30 or 40, 50 hours to beat.
Yeah.
Loved the music, loved the storytelling. I loved the just the grinding, you know, like when you're in a part of the level that you're not powerful enough to be, and you have to go and kill a bunch of bosses for like 2 hours and like get all the money and the swords and everything that they drop so that you can better equip your guys. Loved that game. I think if I had one to choose from history's Days of Past, that would be it. What about you?
So it's funny that you say Final Fantasy because my cousin, the one that you went to school with for like several years,
Juan?
but never met,
Yeah.
he loves Final Fantasy.
Does he?
Yeah.
Oh, well.
You guys would have been like totally
Best buds, yeah.
Yeah, you made me think of actually on my YouTube channel. I play retro games every Thursday. So
Oh, cool.
I play a different retro game every Thursday. Last week I played Castlevania, which was like my first game. I love
That's
that
a
game.
great game.
But I'll fast forward because since I do that all the time, it's like a normal thing for me. But what I remembered was when I was like maybe late teens, we had just started getting into PC games. We had just started getting into like souping up our PCs, putting in like that, what is it, the 3DX card or whatever, the Voodoo card, the Voodoo 2 like graphics card in our computer. And me and my brother shared a computer. And one of the first games I got to try out this new graphics card, because this was a new thing at the time, like putting in a graphics card into your computer, right? Instead of using the onboard one, was Aliens versus Predator. And this was a first-person shooter. And I don't know, it has a following, but it's not as well known as some games like Halo or whatever, right? But it was basically like Halo, but you get to play as like a Marine or an alien or a predator, and each one has its own different attributes. Like the predator, you can be invisible and you can do all sorts of like weapon stuff. The alien, you can like crawl on walls.
Huh.
And each one has like a story, so you could go through as one or the other, or you could do like, you know, battle modes and stuff. But the craziest part, I mean, one, it was really scary and it was like a really cool game. You play in the dark and it was like really awesome sound and stuff. But the really, really crazy thing at the time, and this was like 98, 99, was that it came with some extra software that would let you play online. And at the time, that was
Whoa.
like not done, you know? Like,
Yeah.
Nowadays, that's like the easiest thing ever. But like back then, when we were like, basically everybody kind of discovered like, holy crap, we got this game, and all of a sudden I'm talking to you and you're in Australia and I'm here in Washington, you know? Like, it was kind of like everybody kind of like really appreciated the fact that they could do this, right? And they had like these little chat rooms and stuff. It was like software that was called M-Player, which later broke out into its own like trying to be a social network, but it was bundled with the first versions of Alien versus Predator. So like we used to play that online, and like, I mean, with the PC it was awesome because you could find like hacks for the game, and you could find like cheats so you could get like extra weapons and crazy stuff like that. And it was just like that new, it was kind of like when you got your first Nintendo and it was like a brand new thing. Like that was brand new PC game, like 3D PC gaming for me. And I was just like, this is awesome. Like, I mean, think of the time when you first played multiplayer online, you know?
I was actually just thinking, like, or a moment in a video game where you're like, this is incredible.
Yeah.
This can even be done. Like, when I first played Halo for the first time,
Yeah.
I was like, when you looked over and you saw like the ring planet going up into
yeah,
space,
yeah.
I was like, this is incredible that they can do this, and we're all online and like,
I remember I was like, when I first played Halo, and we had the Xbox on launch, me and my brother, I was still not that stoked because I was like, the graphics are really good and this environment is really fun to play in. But I had been playing AVP for like a year, and I was like, this game is basically like the same game because you're fighting aliens and you're a Marine, and all the stories are kind of the same. And I was like, but nobody knows about the game I'm playing, you know?
yeah, no.
So like, yeah, it was just one of those things where I was like, oh, you guys don't know that this game's better.
Oh, man, I've been using this thing forever.
But anyway, that game, and actually the first Grand Theft Auto, like the top down like little sprite one,
I've never played one.
that was like, oh my god, that was so fun because it was the first time you could like really roam around. I know people have this reaction to Grand Theft Auto 3, but I experienced that with the little crappy version. Like, have you ever seen that?
I don't think so.
The first Grand Theft Auto was not 3D. It was like top down, and you had like these little tiny sprite characters and stuff, but you could still shoot guns and stuff. But anyway, I have like kind of like PC game nostalgia like for those games. Anyway,
Cool.
You want to go to the Facebook page?
Oh, sure. Good idea. Facebook.com/user-friendly show.
Yeah.
Good pick of us here.
What do you think Scott Forstall? Oh, I'm sorry. Who's this from? Felipe Tadeo. No, Tadeo.
Tadeo.
What do you think Scott Forstall will do after his advisory role at Apple is done? New OS competitor? Question mark.
No, I don't think he'll do that. You know, I don't know if we'll ever hear anything from Scott Forstall again. I think he's going to be kind of done. I mean, he had a long career at Apple.
He really did.
And what do you do after that? You know, it's like you spend a better part of your life at this company. He's a freaking multi-millionaire.
Yeah.
The guy never has to worry about money again in his life. Think of all the stock options he probably got. And where else are you going to go? BlackBerry?
Yeah.
Ha! Windows? You
Yeah.
know, there's just not really...
Yeah, it's different these days. Like, I think back in the day when people left from companies, especially like big hardware companies, they tried to go off and start their different things. Like one of the old Apple people, Jean-Louis Gasset, he tried to do BOS, which was like a competitor to the Mac OS and Windows.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't hear about that anymore. You don't hear about that kind of stuff anymore because you're right. You would have to go to a big company. You're not going to start your own competitor to Apple, you know.
You could. Hey, you could do it.
I mean,
somebody
can you, though? 'Cause-
somebody eventually will, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's very hard because you're gonna have to start a brand new platform and have to show people why they should develop for it. And I'm not talking about, you know, making a new version of Linux. I'm talking about brand new. You know.
Yeah, it would
Which
definitely not be easy.
Yeah, like
There'd have to be a compelling reason for you to do it too. Like you were going to do something drastically different.
Yeah.
And give people a reason to really want to use your product. Or if Apple just starts slipping, you know, I have faith that they won't. I think Tim Cook's doing a great job. But they are not infallible. Eventually, they could lose their way, and I think at that point it would give an opportunity to somebody to come up with something, you know, that might be better. And you know, I was gonna say Steve Cook.
Steve
Jobs was a great North Star for them. I mean, he was like their guiding light, and he helped keep that company on the straight and narrow. And with him gone, how many versions away, you know, how many CEOs can we get away from him before we start having copies of copies of copies, and there start getting to be some blurry lines there? I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see what happens.
I agree. I don't really think that Forstall's gonna be like the next anything.
I don't either.
I mean, who knows what his ambitions are? Because like one of the big key people for a long time was Avi Tevanian, and he was like the chief architect of OS X and brought OS X over from Next and all this stuff. And basically, from what I've read, he kind of was just like, you know what, I'm done. I've made $1 zillion. I'm out. You know.
Yeah,
Like that was basically what he was like. I don't have the drive to do this anymore, like you guys. You know, so have someone else like take it on. You know.
Wow, that's a very commendable thing to do. You know, to realize that you're just like, you know what, I'm just done.
Yeah.
I don't want to do this. I'm not going on to something better.
Yeah, it's been a really good run.
Yeah, I poured my life into this, and it's just not something I want to do.
And it's been fruitful, so what are you going to do, right?
I have prostitutes come to my house every night now.
I think that
I make lots of money.
I don't know. I mean, you probably still end up doing things, but maybe not as publicly as an Apple.
Yeah, I don't think Scott Forstall is sitting around, you know, his
jerking
house
his gherkin.
Well, he's probably jerking the gherkins, but he's not doing it full time. Like he's probably doing on
He
the
has
side.
some breaks.
Yeah, he takes breaks to do other stuff. I mean, he's probably working on something. You know, who knows what? I mean, even freaking Steve Wozniak is working on side projects. Everyone's doing something. I mean, is it going to be another Apple? I think you know the answer to that.
Should we explain that?
No, let's not even bother. Let's see here. I think we should probably just do one more.
Okay. I think
actually don't.
We have like only a couple, dude.
Yeah, I don't think we have that many more.
Okay.
How about this one? This was easy. Martin Dobson. Hello, Governor. What program does Roberto use to edit UF?
I use Final Cut Pro X.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I don't think I had used it before. You showed me like the day that we filmed it. I think that you showed me how to use it, and that's when I started to use it. And now I love it. I use it for everything.
That's great, isn't it?
Yeah, I use it for my videos now, and I can't open iMovie because I can't go back. You know.
That's like a high-powered iMovie too.
Yeah,
so
it is. Yeah, it's a great app. I use that, and yeah, we didn't really answer this, but after the show, we immediately I download the video from the camera, put it in my computer, and then let that process, and then I leave. That's basically how it works.
Mm-hmm. and then I get my razor blade out and I chop up some gokanya.
Yeah, I don't know what happens after. It's okay.
I just sit there spacing out and I jerk the gherkin and.
See, you wanted to know.
Yeah. I usually have a cup of milk.
Gross.
Gross milk. That's so gross. You can't get milk from a cow naturally. You gotta drink soy milk.
That was a bull.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't have a cow. Let's wrap up with this question. This is a great one. This is from John Alanese.
Okay.
Favorite band? Let's start with that one. Favorite band. Favorite band of all time. You can only put one CD in.
Yeah.
Till the end of time.
Yeah. Wait.
Will it or will it not be Spin Doctors?
Does the CD have? Are we talking about bands? So it has all their stuff on it. Cause it's not.
You do, okay, favorite band. Okay,
yeah,
so
band.
you can only listen to one band for the rest of your life.
Beach Boys.
Really?
Yeah.
Man, I would probably have to say U2. I love U2. I was gonna say Led Zeppelin. We're actually very close.
I love Led Zeppelin too.
The album?
Yeah, and 1 and 3. Actually, my favorite for a long time, and they kind of still duke it out, are the Beach Boys and the Beatles. But it's like, I think it also goes back to like, when did you start to like them? You know, because I think that certain things like they kind of come up during like your formative years of maybe playing your own music or whatever. You know,
Yeah.
like that's one of the things the Beach Boys kind of like. They were like the drop in the pebble dropping into the lake of me learning about
Not for me.
all other music.
Not for me. That was really, well, I wouldn't say I learned about all music through them, but I was really
Not
into
all, but you know what I mean.
Pearl Jam, and then I was really into Dave Matthews Band for years. Huge Dave Matthews Band. So much so that if you didn't like Dave Matthews Band, I would not like you. Like, I was that hardcore. It was almost like a religion.
Yeah.
Oh man, Dave Matthews, the early stuff, man, they really, for me, it went downhill. I just like the early stuff better. That's like every band.
Yeah,
though.
it's a lot of bands.
I just love U2. U2 is just a prolific band. I think that they were kind of like chosen by God to be here on this earth. And we're just like, you are going to be rock stars. Here's the music. Just go ahead and play this. And people will worship you wherever you go. I just think they're incredible. I mean, they are anomalies, you know, to play the way they do and to write the songs that they do. That would be my pick.
Yeah, it sounds probably weird when I say Beach Boys because a lot of people only know their early hits like Fun. And
I only know their hits, period.
Like,
yeah.
They have a very long career of like really, really amazing music that influenced a lot of different bands. Like they influenced the Beatles. I mean, they influenced the Beatles' Sgt. Pepper. Like that was an answer to one of the Beach Boys albums, you know?
Interesting.
But you know, I understand that a lot of people think I mean like, oh, I really like Kokomo. It's like, no, it's not just that.
That's kind of what you mean. I mean,
but I love all of it.
And
that's definitely one of my top bands.
And he really wants to go to Aruba and Jamaica, and he really wants to take you.
Kokomo's not a real place. Did you know that?
I did not know that, but I like that you did.
It's made up.
Okay, and the second part of John's question, if you two were friends as children and had a sleepover, which bunk beds would you get and why? Are you a top man or are you a bottom man?
Probably as a kid.
Yeah.
Maybe the bottom.
I probably would have taken the top.
Okay.
So, and just because when you're sleeping over at other people's houses, like especially when you're a kid, like you're not really sure if you belong there, right? You're like, I don't know if I should be here. It's weird. I'm in a dark place. And I think that way, like the other person had to get up, like they wouldn't have to like walk past you. Like you can kind of have your own space that no one.
You like rock the whole bed when you try to get off of it.
Yeah, but like if you came down and you were on the bottom bunk, like they wouldn't like sit there and stare at you or anything.
I'd be awake the whole time.
Yeah. So that's why I take the top bunk.
I'd kick the top.
Yeah. But
I used to
So-
have bunk beds. Did you ever share a room with your brother?
Yeah, I did.
Did you ever have bunk beds?
No, we just had separate beds.
We had bunk beds for like a little while, and I had the bottom. So that's why I assume I would have taken the bottom.
In college, I had to share a room with a freaking grown ass dude too. For like 2 years, I think we shared a room.
Bunk beds?
Yeah, we had bunk beds. We slept in the same bed anyway because we were super gay. No, we didn't have bunk beds, and we were not gay with each other. We slept in our own beds,
Yeah.
except for one time. And I had drank a whole lot.
I don't even know if that's real, but okay.
No.
Oh wait. We need to answer some from Jeremy Edwards because he asked us.
Oh, cool. Let's ask.
And I would be remiss if I forgot.
Okay.
So let's see. Jeremy asks, "What is your favorite movie and or TV series and why?"
Oh. Why don't you go first? Favorite movie? Man, that's tough.
It's really hard.
That's tough.
I don't even know. Like
That's like asking someone their favorite food. It's
nothing's
like,
coming to mind for a favorite movie. I will say, favorite show. What show can I just pop in and I'll like love watching it? Maybe like The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Like I could just sit down and watch that show. Like that's cool.
I haven't watched that show in a long time. Oh man, there's so many genres of shows too.
Yeah. And then movie, I don't know. I'll think about it. Maybe like. It depends, you know, because I really like documentaries. Like some documentaries I watch over and over and over.
We were just talking about this before.
But then there's movies that are just very nostalgic for me, like Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom was a movie that I watched a lot, and Batman, the 1989 Batman.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I would probably choose something like that, like from a kid where I liked it as a kid, and then if I watched it as an adult, I could still really like it and appreciate it, and I probably wouldn't tire of it so much because I've already watched it a zillion times, you know.
Yeah.
Something
like
about
those-
that like makes it so you don't care. It's not gonna make you bored of it, I guess, right?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I think for shows, I'm just gonna go with Game of Thrones because I watched it so many times, and there's still 3 seasons left.
I was gonna pick a new show too, but I didn't.
Oh man, there's.
I was
so
gonna say
good.
Breaking Bad, but
I love Breaking Bad. I just don't know if I'd want to watch it over and over and over again.
Yeah,
even
same
though it was
here.
great. Whereas I'm really into fantasy. So
Game of Thongs.
Game of Thongs is something. Wait, that's not my fantasy one.
that's in your Netflix queue.
Yeah, but that's a different one. That's a different show. Anyway, and then for a movie, oh gosh, man, this is so
What movie like
tough.
penetrated your being from behind?
Game of Thongs. Yeah, yeah, that Game of Thongs.
How do you play that game?
Yeah. Well, it's not a game, as much as an activity.
I feel like you know the answer.
Yeah, let's just say slummies get hidden.
Gross.
I even lost a couple. Still looking for that summer beef sausage. Gosh, a movie is tough.
Come on,
I
out
can't.
with it.
I can't think of anything from a kid that I really loved.
Back to the Future.
Okay, yeah, I did like that a lot. I would probably say I'm gonna go with a kid movie, just because otherwise there's gonna be too much choice. The Last Crusade, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
That was pretty amazing when I saw that.
It's my favorite of 3.
I saw it in the theater.
Did you?
Yeah.
I think I did too, actually.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that Holy Grail scene. So
Man, yeah,
awesome.
that movie is so well written and so well made.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
They
Indie.
shouldn't have done a 4th. They should have just capped it, not made a 4th, you know?
Yeah, that Crystal Skull movie was awful. It was,
Abysmal.
you know, honestly, when you say they should have made a 4th, I never even think about that as being an Indiana Jones movie
Right.
because it was so hokey and so bad.
Yeah. It felt like The Mummy, except worse than The Mummy.
It felt like it was like the Mummy 6 after like The Rock came and started doing it,
Oh
and then
my
he
God.
left.
I forgot about
And then he
that.
left too, and they brought in like some other wrestler that you'd never heard of, The Miz or something. I'm like, what's The Miz doing here?
Yeah, but I mean, we're both big movie watchers and TV show watchers. I think it's difficult, you know? It's hard to be like, definitively, this one is my thing, and it speaks to me forever.
Well, that's the thing is like I'm gonna change my mind in 15 minutes anyway. As soon as we stop recording, I'll be like, yeah, never mind, that was wrong.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
And one last one from Jimmy in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "Do you think downloading of games is better / greener than traditional disc?"
Well, I think that's kind of like a yes and no answer for me. It's definitely more convenient, and yes, it's cuts down on packaging. The thing about digital is that if everyone did it, hopefully the prices would come down a lot, right? Because everyone's just buying it, and it's cheaper for them to do it that way. And then plus, there's no putting a disc. One of the coolest things about the Xbox One is that if you buy the games digitally, at least before this, everything was going to be digital. You never had to get up. You could just be like Xbox load, Grand Theft Auto 5, and boom, it was automatically in there. Now it's like you gotta get up and put a disc in. It's like, dude, discs are so done.
Yeah.
Discs are so done. The only thing they're good for is transferring media. We shouldn't be loading things off them to play games. I don't even know if we should be using them as copyright protection anymore.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And unfortunately, a ton of whiners ruined that for everyone. So, but I like digital games better.
I do too. I'm a very late person to Xbox, but when I actually got into that Xbox Live world and found how simple it was to download, with the exception of the fact that it can't just charge your card, which is stupid. Like that you have to have like points.
Well, that's gone now.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, they did away with that.
Oh, thank God.
That's a recent thing.
So what do I do with those free points that I got at the?
They turn into cash.
Nice.
So
Okay.
I have like $60-something.
Nice,
dude.
dude.
You should input those soon.
I will because I don't have I let my thing lapse. So now I'm like, wait, do I have to pay like how much is it? 50? 60?
Yeah.
For a year or
I
whatever?
get it for you cheaper.
Oh, please.
I have connections.
That's why I'm not online.
Mine was much cheaper.
Okay, well,
I'll
hook
tell
it up.
you about it after.
But then so when I got into that world and I found like Xbox Live Arcade, I was like, oh, this is awesome. It's like Steam, like Steam's really easy.
It is, and that's what
right?
they were gonna do with Xbox One. Is they're gonna have Steam for consoles.
So yeah, of course I like that better. I mean, like, I don't like to get up and go to the store. Like, I hate those game stores. Are you kidding me?
I do too. There's people that are defending GameStop. I'm like, GameStop makes their living ripping off kids.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, buy a game for $60. Oh, well, we'll give you 30.
Not even.
Not even.
We'll
And that's
give you
like
like
if it's
$8.
That's like if it just came out,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Otherwise, they're like, yeah, I'll give you $1 in credit for it.
Yeah.
And then they sell it for 40. It's
Plus, like every one of those places will have too many of the same game that was a hit game, right? Because people got bored of it.
yeah,
That's
also true.
So I mean, stop whining. Like, yeah, you're gonna buy it, you're gonna play it, and you're gonna like you're gonna get what you get out of it. I don't know if you really need to be able to go and sell it again.
Well, that was
you
that was
like
the big
doing
argument.
that, but like,
I
don't
do
know.
do that sometimes, but that's not a critical thing for me. I mean, for some people, they're
It
like, I
outweighs
only want to
the
buy
other one, right?
used games, and because they want to get their games cheap. And I'm like, yes, but if you wait a month, digital games come down in price anyway. And like the Steam Summer Sale, for example, they sell games for like a few bucks, like $9-10. If you paid $10 for a Grand Theft Auto type game, you would not care if you couldn't resell it.
Yeah.
Because you're paying for a ton of content. I don't know. So for me, I'm digital. I'm
agree.
looking forward to everything going digital.
And I agree too. I agree discs are totally done. Anytime someone brings up that argument, I'm like, are you serious?
Just like that, just freaking scoff at them.
I say, F word DVD.
Yeah, right. And I push them. I don't even slap them. I just push them. Hopefully hard enough where they fall over backwards.
Anyone that knows me can vouch for that.
Yeah, I've seen you do that. Just, he'll push you. Just
Get
like
outta here.
right in the shoulder, and you'll fall over backwards.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, that was fun.
That was fun. Thanks for everyone's questions.
Yeah. Hopefully we made sense.
Then to everyone who saw us ask for a question but didn't contribute one, screw you guys.
Yeah. Whatever.
I'm gonna push you next time I see you. If I see you on the street, you'll be like, "Yeah, like user friendly." I'm like, "I don't recognize your name from the questions list."
Yeah.
Push you.
You have it on your phone.
Yeah, start looking. No. What'd you say your name was? No, push. Your mom's gonna be like, "What happened? Why'd that guy push you?" And I'll push her too. I better hope your grandma's not there.
My
So
kid's only
I'll push
11
her.
years old.
Yeah, I'll be like, "Yeah, he's also on the ground."
All right. So
Anyway.
that's about it, everybody. We will see you
Do you want to do our Twitter stuff and everything again?
Sure.
Okay.
You can find me on Twitter at Roberto Hoyos, RobertoHoyos.
I'm at Erfon, ERFON, on the Twittersphere web.
Our show is on iTunes. Just search user friendly
Indeed.
and subscribe. Audio or visual.
For you visual people.
And on YouTube, youtube.com/user-friendly-show. But that's it, man. So we will see you, friends.
Until next time.
Next week.
You guys keep it friendly.
Okay.